Are you ready? I am. It's time for us to flow with tarot. I love this segment. No, I know. Going forward, I will be switching up my space, my recording studio, not just for this segment, but for both channels. Okay. If you're not familiar with my other channel, perhaps you just found Magic in Motion. I do have another channel called Unleashed Alchemy TV. All right. So I invite you to go subscribe to that channel as well. I also would like to know in the comments how you found this channel, how you found Magic in Motion. Was it suggested to you? Or maybe you are from my Unleashed Alchemy TV channel. I'd love to know. So yeah, we're going to be doing some changes with the studio. I'm going to be bringing in more witchy vibes. I'm going to have soft music playing in the background, especially for this particular segment. Remember, this is Magic in Motion. We're having fun with our spiritual path. All right. So for me to bring in music, that is me bringing more of me into this because I love music. I'm a singer. I love to sing. I love song. I love the paying attention to the frequency of sound of music. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. So let us get started with our card. I'm just going to spread them out like this. Let's pull this one, whatever that one is. And what I'm going to do is put the rest of the stack in the bag to free my hands up a little bit. All right. So the card that we're going to be looking at today is the sun. I find it interesting that we've got the horse. All right. We have the horse, and in the um, Chinese calendar, this is the year of the horse. Okay. So that can be viewed in so many different ways. There's so many different layers to that. But what I'm going to say now, as far as it pertains to this sun card, is for us to be more in our expression. We have been programmed to wait for someone else to validate us, to wait for someone else to see us, excuse me, to wait for someone or something else to shine light on who we are, to shine light on our gifts. Even when it comes to how we get money, okay, we've been programmed to think that we have to trade our time for money by going to a job. Now, let me pause here. If you're watching this and you go punch in somewhere, I'm not saying that that is bad. I'm not saying that that's wrong. Okay. You're a free individual. You do what you want. Okay. But we have been programmed to believe that that is the only way for us to have a flow of income. And if you really think about it, and I'll talk about this in another episode. If you really think about it, going to trade time for money, that is not a flow of income. That is very much very static. That's what it is at this certain time for this amount of money for this certain amount of hours. Okay. So, and static is not the word that I wanted to use, but it's very rigid. That's not a flow of money. Okay. So just putting that out there. But let's say that you are wanting to be chosen for a job. You went to an interview. Isn't that why we go on interviews to be chosen for a job? Well, instead of hoping that this company is going to recognize who you are, is going to recognize what you bring, is going to recognize your gifts, your talents, perhaps you need to create a job for yourself. See, people think, and I don't know why I'm taking this route, but people think that when we say, okay, create something of your own, don't depend on a job for your money or for all of your money. Create something for yourself. People automatically think, oh, I have to have this big business. What if I don't want a business? No, you may not want a big business. You may not want a business per se, but you do want freedom. You do want to be able to create things for yourself. If you had a choice between going to clock in somewhere for something that you would otherwise choose not to do versus someone saying, I shouldn't even say it that way, versus you having the option, which you do, having the option to create something for yourself, to create, I won't even call it a job, to create a flow or flows, rivers, streams of income for yourself. And it doesn't have to be a big company. It doesn't have to be in a corporation. But so many people say that, well, not everyone can have their own business. Not everyone can have a big company. Well, no, everybody, when we talk about having freedom and building something for yourself, we have to get that image out of our head that it's got to be this big company, this big Amazon like company. No, you can have something for yourself that is not well known, but it's yours and it's very well protected because it is yours. Okay. So I said all that to say this. So instead of us looking outside of ourselves for a validation to be chosen by a company or by a person or by a group of people or by community, it's time for us to validate ourselves. It's time for us to shed light on our own gifts. It's time for us to illuminate ourselves. It's time for us to be the sun in our own lives, to take the reins of our own gifts and our own talents. And for us, it's time for us to put ourselves and our expression on display. We don't have to wait for anyone else to do that for us. We can take the reins and do that ourselves, for ourselves. That's what I feel like with the sun card right now. Okay. So even when it comes to your spiritual path, now I know a lot of people, you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, find a spiritual community, get into a spiritual community so you're not doing all of this by yourself, which is okay. That's valid advice. It's sound advice to a certain point. All right. Because sometimes, especially if you are coming from a religious background, sometimes the last thing that you want to do is jump into a spiritual community, spiritual or not. When you're leaving that type of construct, the religious construct, many times the best thing that you can do is get to a space where you are by yourself. Not to just jump in, because what happens is, when you're in religion, yes, you have all of these people around you. Yes, you've had that religious community. And when you have left that behind, sometimes it can feel like you're alone. Sometimes it can feel like, okay, well, now I have to, since I don't have my religious community anymore, now I need to replace that with another community. And I'm telling you, you don't. Not right away, because it's important for you to get connected with your spirit now, so that now your spirit can guide you into spaces and communities that are aligned with your elevation, that are aligned with your ascension. Okay. So, yes, community is good and it has its purpose. But even if you don't have that at the moment, your focus is to illuminate yourself. You be your own community. Perhaps you may be in a space right now where you need to focus. Your community needs to be you getting connected with your spirit team. Maybe your community for the moment, for this time, is not in the physical at the moment. Perhaps you need to spend time in the dark, in what we would call meditation, in focus, in the quiet, in silence, and connect with your ancestors, those that you know, those that you don't know. Connect with your angels. Connect with your dragons. Connect with the goddesses of the water. Connect with aliens. Connect with your animal totems. Connect with your spirit squad. Right now, that may be your community that you need to focus on. Okay. So, yeah, that's what I feel about the sun card right now. Focus on illuminating yourself. Shed light on your gifts. You shed light on your gifts. You validate yourself. You validate your spiritual path. You validate your life. Okay. So let me know what your takeaways are from today's segment of Flow with Tarot. And until next time, stay magical.